starting recording. And Rana, I think we are both talking and recording now. Does that look like that from your end?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay. So first of all, Rana Shubair, welcome to Canada Talks Israel Palestine. You are speaking to us from where? Where are you right now?
I'm in Gaza City, Gaza Strip, which is Palestine.
And are you in an office? You're in your home? Where are you, Rana?
Actually, I'm in my home, yes, in my bedroom.
Okay. Now, Rana and you and I met a couple of years ago when I was in Gaza. Amongst other things, you are a teacher of English, and I was pleased to meet some of the students in one of your classes. So it was nice to get to know you that way.
Yes, I'm a teacher. I'm a trainer and translator, and I'm also an author.
That's right. How remiss of me. I forgot to mention, author of 2 books. That's right. Thank you very much, Rana. Now, Rana, we're now speaking on Tuesday, the 2nd of April. 2 days ago, there was the big demonstration to mark the 1 year anniversary of the Great March of Return. You were there?
Yes, I went. There was a call by the High National Committee, the organizing committee of the march, and they had been calling and urging everyone to go, saying that they want it to be the million protest, a million people. I think an estimate of about 50,000 went on that day, at least at the camp where I went in Gaza City, East.
Okay.
So yes,
You said the call was by this coordinating committee. Is that Hamas? Is that what you mean by Hamas?
no, actually, the committee is comprises of a number of Palestinian factions, among them Hamas, the Palestinian Front, the Islamic Jihad. Yes, a few of just a few names there, and it also comprises of civil society members and clan members, and just independent people. This is the beauty about it. I think that it's made up of all the Palestinian people from all walks of life.
Okay. So just so that we understand here in Canada, if you hadn't gone, would you have been in trouble? Was someone forcing you to go? What was the, how's that work?
Well, actually, not everybody went in the end, but I'm not forced to go. But I've been an avid supporter of the Great Return March from the very beginning, and I actually every Friday I free my schedule just to go to the march because I believe in the demands of my people. And although it's been a year, and that's 52 Fridays because we go every Friday. I never got bored of going, so I went willingly with no pressure, no one forced me, and that's it.
So give us an idea of what happens when you go there. What does that mean? Paint us a little bit of a picture of what happens.
Okay, so because I live in Gaza City, so I go to the encampment area along the eastern border of Gaza City. It's just a barren land area of about uh, away 700 meters away from the fence. The entrance is 700 meters away from the fence, and there are makeshift tents there for the protesters. We go there. There's a stage. There are speakers from different factions who give speeches. There are culture activities like debka dances and folklore and things like that. We just go and stand there and to show to show the Israeli occupation that we are there and we're going to keep returning to demand our just and legal rights to break the siege and the right of return. So it's and there you can find whole families there, especially 2 days ago because it was the first anniversary of the Great Return March. There were it was just there were throngs of people everywhere, families, with kids, um, but they were all very far away from where from the fence, and there wasn't any danger in that, and I stayed very far away myself.
Okay. So give me a sense. I understand your indignation, but when you go there, you don't think you're going to convince the Israelis. Who are you speaking to when you go there? What's the intent of going?
Yeah. Okay. Although it's been a year, I know that the marches may seem to have not accomplished anything. But I think when you look at what how it has affected the Israeli occupation, because it's a peaceful assembly of people, they have retaliated by using deadly force because they fear peaceful assembly, because this draws the attention of the whole world to the Palestinian cause. That look at them, here they are peacefully protesting, demanding their legitimate rights, by UN resolutions, by international law, and they are met by sniper fire. And I think that if this can take if it's true that it has taken a year so far, but I think if we just keep banging these prison doors, because Gaza is an open air prison, that we will draw more attention, and the people and the international community will eventually listen to our voice, and we will have some kind of pressure to pressure them to lift this illegal blockade, which we have been suffering under for 12 years now. And if you ask me about the blockades, I'll give you a list of answers to that, what that means to live under this 12-year-old blockade.
What does it mean to live under a 12-year-old blockade?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's for people outside. I think it's hard for them to imagine. But if you look at Gaza, it's an area of 360 square kilometers. It has two exits to the outside world. One to the north, controlled by Israeli occupation forces called Erez, and the one to the south in Rafah, controlled by the Egyptians. So for 12 years, these two exits have been they've been closed, and they have only been opened on certain occasions until until after the Great Return March was launched, actually. But living under this 12-year-old blockade means no freedom of movement, a collapsing economy where 60% of the youth are unemployed, a collapsing health care services, no banning of entry of basic goods, medicine, medical supplies, things that are there's this long list the Israelis have, which they call items of dual usage, which are not allowed entry into Gaza because they fear they could be used for other things. Just no freedom of movement, and young people are allowed. If young people are allowed to travel, that means they lose their scholarships, which they work very hard to gain.
Rana, let me ask you just you've talked about the blockade, but I have seen, I don't know whether it's true or not, but I've seen Israeli pictures or footage of trucks lined up at some of the other entrance gates. And if you listen to the story from the Israeli side, they would lead us to believe that lots of stuff is going in and there's really not much of a problem at all. So what's the story there from your perspective?
Yeah, well, the situation here is not very stable. So sometimes they allow goods and supplies in, but sometimes they close the border for no reason, or if something, if they feel there's a threat, they would just close down the border, and they would ban anything from entering. So it's not like there's a stable system of entering of goods. For example, the electricity crisis here we're living under, because of lack of fuel. So what happens if they close the border for like a couple of days? There will be a shortage in fuel, and this affects every aspect of our lives, and puts many patients in danger because of the electricity power cuts, and affects the education system and the work and everything else. So it's not really regular. You can't say that it's a stable system. Sometimes they allow stuff, sometimes they close the border, so it's unpredictable.
So what if I hear you, you could on one day stuff could go through and they could take lots of pictures of it showing all the stuff going through, and that would lead us to believe that it's happening every day, where it may only been happening one day a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Actually,
right.
life here in Gaza, it's like every day something new happens. It's really precarious and unpredictable to say the least. So you never know what's going to happen.
Rana, so thank you for that. So did you get shot? Did you get to see any people? Who's getting shot there? Who are the Israelis shooting at where you were, east of Gaza City?
The Israelis, as shown on the news, are only shooting the peaceful protesters. Last Saturday, three 17-year-olds were shot, and just an hour ago, one of them succumbed to his wounds. He's a 26-year-old man, and 50 children have been shot. Some of them have had to have amputations. Many of them have been far away from the fence, as far as 300 meters away from the fence. And these protesters, they pose no threat to the Israeli snipers who are heavily armed, and they can just shoot anybody and see everybody. Everybody's in their range.
So
So
why
many
so
of these
why
people,
so why are they doing it then? Why are they shooting people that aren't a threat to them?
because they want to scare the protesters away and telling them to go home,
Hmm.
and tell them to go, because they had expected that the people would revolt against Hamas, for example, and there would be some kind of civil war. And we already have an internal division between the two major factions here, and that they have tried, along with their allies, to make this some kind of civil war happen between the people. But the people here are very aware of that. So they have all collectively gathered, in a really beautiful picture of unity, and they took to this peaceful assembly because they know that the main cause of our plight and our suffering is the Israeli occupation. It's the one that's imposing this illegal blockade, and it's the one that has stolen their lands and is denying them the right to return.
Rana Shubair, uh, teacher, interpreter, author. I'm afraid we're going to have to wind up there. Thank you so much for giving us this firsthand report, and I hope we'll have another chance to do that sometime in the near future. Thank you so
Thank,
much, Rana.
thank you, Peter, for having me, and inshallah, I hope to see you soon.
I look forward to it. Bye bye.